Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for this opportunity to discuss our testing program. First, I would like to thank my colleagues at Noguchi, at the Kumasi Center, KCCR, at the Public Health Reference Lab, at the Veterinary Services Directorate Lab, and the CSR Lab, all together working day and night. I think they're close to over 150 people who have worked tirelessly to give the results that the President described on Sunday. Now, if you have been to Noguchi recently, you'd have seen the white building at the entrance of our institute. This building actually facilitated the process. It has enabled us to test thousands of samples within the recent couple of weeks. How have we done this testing? As you have heard, you cannot see a virus. So to test for the virus, we actually extract the inner component of the virus, and it's called ribonucleic acid. Now, how do we collect the sample, or what kind of sample do we use for the testing? Because this is a respiratory virus, we look for the virus in the respiratory pathway, okay? So we take swabs from the nose, swabs from the throat. We also take sputum, which you bring out from the throat. And then we also have another method where we introduce salt water into your nose and you blow it out, and it's called nasal lavage. So these are the 4 types of specimens or samples that we have used in Ghana to test for the coronavirus. When these samples arrive at the lab, whether it is Kumasi or Noguchi or the VSD or the Public Health Reference Lab, we go through a process to enable us to utilize the reagents or the chemicals in a very efficient manner. We simply pool the samples. What is pooling? Pooling just means that if you have 1,000 samples, you put them in pools of 10, and therefore you test at a time 100 pools. So in a short time, instead of testing only 1,000 samples, you actually test 10,000 samples. This simple arithmetic is what some people cannot do. If you want to understand how we are able to utilize our existing facilities using a method which was derived in 1945 for screening samples right from the blood bank, this is a very efficient way of proceeding. The other thing that we've done is that to ensure that we're actually not diluting the sample when we mix 10 of them together, we simply took one positive sample, which was at the limit of the detection of our system, and diluted it with 9 other samples, which were negative. Therefore, we could determine that if we pool 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 together, we are still able to detect the first sample, which is at the limit of the positive detection. Again, with our partners, we have the latest kind of equipment to be able to do this direct detection. So, as we started, we realized that as the numbers grew, we were actually pooling 5 samples, and then we changed to a pooling of 10 samples. And this simple protocol was followed both by colleagues in KCCR, and of course, it's now adopted by colleagues here at PHR and VSD. So in a nutshell, you can understand that it is not impossible to have tested 68,000 samples, as His Excellency the President reported when he addressed all of us. Actually, since he addressed us, we have actually tested close to 30,000 samples, again, using the same method, because each time we do 10,000 samples, it's actually, a multiplication of a simple initial number. So please do not be surprised if in the next couple of days you hear that we have tested 100,000 samples in Ghana. It's just a matter of, multiplication and addition. Now, how efficient is this process? We don't just test. Each test that is done follows a quality control step as indicated by the manufacturer. we have actually used 4 different PCR test kits in Ghana. 2 of them provided by the World Health Organization and the Africa Centers for Disease Control, and also the West African Health Organization. So you can understand that the test kits that we have used are according to international standards and verified by these organizations to ensure that the process we are doing is in line with the applicable procedures. Also, we have established a common quality assurance program where we have exchanged samples between KCCR and Noguchi to ensure that samples that we say are positive at Noguchi are also checked by KCCR. And we have also done the same thing for samples from KCCR. Furthermore, the WHO has established an external quality assurance program, and we will be taking part in this external quality assurance program. I understand that the Africa CDC is also starting such a program for us in Ghana. You've also heard about rapid diagnostic tests. And the policy that the FDA, the Food and Drug Authority, has adopted is that all such rapid diagnostic test kits have to be evaluated and assessed for their ability to pick up a true positive, which we call sensitivity, and the ability to rule out a true negative, which is called specificity. So this process is currently ongoing, and we have established a panel of blood samples that are truly positive and that are truly negative. We are in the process of reporting back to the FDA on which kits, therefore, are most sensitive and most specific and therefore suitable for use in Ghana. This will then enable us to do more testing, but the results will be in combination with what we call the PCR, so that we can accurately describe as somebody having been exposed, accurately describe somebody as having been infected, and accurately describe somebody as having been previously exposed. It's very important to understand the distinction between these categories, or else people will think that they have the virus, whereas they have just been exposed and they have actually recovered. I think that this is a sufficient explanation of everything that we are doing so far on testing. If there are any specific questions or issues, I think that it will be brought to our attention and we will once again come here. But I must thank all my colleagues in the background who you do not see. They have worked tirelessly day and night in triple shifts, making sure that we are able to provide the testing to support the COVID response. Thank you very much.